Esteemed President Professor Atilla Arkan, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences Professor Alev Erkilet, Chair of Sociology Department Professor Ramazan Aras, our esteemed guest Professor François Burgat, and our distinguished scholars, young researchers, and guests. You are all welcome to our second Sociology Days event, which is organized in partnership with the Department of Sociology and Societal Research and Thought Club. Sayın Rektörümüz Profesör Doktor Atilla Arkan, İnsan ve Toplum Bilimleri Fakültesi Dekanımız Sayın Profesör Doktor Alev Erkilet, Sosyoloji Bölüm Başkanımız Profesör Doktor Ramazan Aras, saygıdeğer misafirimiz Profesör François Burgat, birbirinden kıymetli misafirlerimiz, genç araştırmacılarımız ve çok değerli hocalarımız, hepiniz İbn Haldun Üniversitesi Sosyoloji Bölümü ve Toplumsal Araştırma ve Düşünce Kulübü ortaklığında düzenlenen 2. Sosyoloji Günleri etkinliğimize hoş geldiniz. At this year's Student Research Symposium that will be held under the title Crisis and Transitions, Inequality, State, Politics, and Society in the Current World Order, many issues such as migration, technological developments, gender, media, popular culture, literature, education, and natural disasters will be discussed by undergraduate, graduate, and high school students. In addition to previous years, this year we are hosting high school students on our campus to present their articles. We would also like to thank them for their participation and contribution to the Sociology Days. Bu yıl kriz ve dönüşüm, günümüz dünya düzeninde eşitsizlik, devlet, politika ve toplum başlığı altında yapılacak olan öğrenci araştırma sempozyumunda göç, teknolojik gelişmeler, devlet politikaları, toplumsal cinsiyet, medya, popüler kültür, eğitim ve doğal afetler gibi pek çok çeşitli konu hem İbn Haldun Üniversitesi hem de farklı üniversitelerden katılan lisans, lisansüstü ve liseli öğrenci arkadaşlarımız tarafından ele alınacaktır. Geçen yılki programımızdan farklı olarak bu yıl lise öğrencileri de makalelerini sunmak üzere kampüsümüzdeler. Kendilerine etkinliğimize katılım sağladıkları ve sosyoloji günlerine katkıda bulundukları için ayrıca teşekkür ederiz. Before starting our opening speeches, we extend our heartfelt condolences to those who have lost their loved ones in the earthquake disaster that affected Turkey and Syria, and we wish a speedy recovery to the injured. We hope to overcome the effects of this catastrophe together as soon as possible. Programımıza başlamadan önce Türkiye ve Suriye'yi etkileyen, hepimizi derinden üzen deprem felaketinde yakınlarını kaybedenlere başsağlığı, yaralılara acil şifalar diliyoruz. Depremden etkilenen bölge halkının yanında olduğumuzu bildiriyor. Yaşadığımız bu felaketi hep birlikte en kısa sürede atlatmayı temenni ediyoruz. Now I invite esteemed Professor Atilla Arkan to the stage to give the welcome speech. Şimdi karşılama konuşmalarını yapmak üzere okulumuz rektörü Profesör Doktor Atilla Arkan hocamızı sahneye davet ediyorum. Buyurun hocam.
Değerli hocalarım, değerli öğrenciler ve değerli misafirimiz, hoş geldiniz. Tabii bir açılış konuşması ama ondan önce teşekkürlerimi sunayım. Öncelikle sosyoloji günlerini bir gelenek haline getiren, başta Sayın Dekanımız Alev Hocama, Bölüm Başkanımız Ramazan Hocama, kulübümüzün değerli öğrencilerine ve hiç şüphesiz bu etkinliğe tebliğleriyle katkılı bulunan siz değerli öğrencilerimize teşekkür ederim. Sosyal Bilimler Lisesi'nden öğrenciler vardı. Ben programda gördüm. Burada var mı? Mümtaz Turhan, Sosyal Bilimler. Efendim? Hiç gelmedi mi? Bir tane o kullansın. Tabii onlara özel teşekkür hak ediyorlar. Çünkü Sosyal Bilimler Lisesi'nde olup böylesi bir etkinliğe katılmaları, tebliğ sunmaları hem birikimleri adına hem medeni cesaretleri adına gerçekten onurlandırıcı bir şey, tebriğe değer bir şey. Kendini özellikle tebrik ederim. Görüşemesem de siz yine iletirsiniz. Şimdi aslında seçilen konu da son derece isabetli ve günümüz dünyasına yaşadığımız en temel sorunlardan bir tanesini ön plana çıkartıyor. Eşitsizlik. Eşitsizlik hiç şüphesiz hani bir tür tespit yapacaksak kıtalar arasında da var, uluslar arasında da var, şehirler arasında da var ve mahalleler arasında da var. Bunun kök sebeplerine, tabii benim mesleğim felsefe. Felsefe olunca sosyoloji ve psikoloji kadar çok daha böyle ana odaklanamıyoruz. Mesleğin getirdiği bir alışkanlık belki ama sosyologlar ve psikologlar daha ana odaklanarak hiç şüphesiz bize değerli analizlerde bulunuyorlar. Biz de onlardan istifade ediyoruz. Dolayısıyla sosyal bilimlerde de kendi aralarında böyle bir iş birimi olduğunda farkındayım. Şimdi tabii ki bunun tarihsel köklerine baktığımızda aslındaki hikaye 17. yüzyıldan itibaren bilim ve teknolojinin ortaya çıkması, o detaylara girmiyorum ama özellikle sanayileşme dediğimiz olgunun ortaya çıkmasıyla beraber ve bu olgunun ortaya çıkışı aynı zamanda hepimizin de bildiği gibi bugün tırnak içerisinde The West dediğimiz veya Batı dediğimiz hegemonik gücün ortaya çıkması ve yeni bir dünya düzenin kurulmasıyla ortaya çıktı. Tabii ki ilk dönem vaat edilen şeylerin çoğu gerçekleşemedi. Hani fakirliğin ortadan kalkması vaat ediliyordu. Eşitsizliğin ortadan kalkması vaat ediliyordu. Görece daha fazla bolluğa ulaşacağımız söylüyordu. Aslında bunu kısmen başardık. Yani gıda açısından baktığımızda bunu elde ettik. Fakat bölüşümünde sorunlar yaşadık. Eşitsizlik meselesi ortaya çıktı. Ve onun arkasından gelen özellikle teknolojiye bağlı olarak savaş teknolojilerinin gelişmesi, her ne kadar tatlı bir şekilde savunma sanayisi desek de aslında ciddi bir savaş teknolojisi var. Bu hiç şüphesiz küresel hegemonu belirledi. Ondan sonraki sürece başladığımızda olan şeyler şunlar. Birincisi şu anda hala devam ediyor ve bence en büyük sorun alanlarından bir tanesini oluşturuyor. Sermaye, ekonomik kazanım dediğimiz şey 17. yüzyıldan itibaren, hani rakamlara baktığınızda bunu çok net görüyorsunuz, oldukça az bir kitlenin elinde birikmeye başladı. Yani 300 yılda yaklaşık bu herhalde %1'lik bir grubun elinde temerküz etmiş durumda. Bu tabii ki ulusların bundan aldıkları paylar farklı farklı ama bu önemli olgulardan bir tanesi. Dolayısıyla sosyal bilimci olarak aslında bizim çalışacağımız önemli alanlardan bir tanesi burası. Yani ben burada devletler de zor durumda. Şöyle söylerim, uluslararası sermaye, devlet ve birey. Tabii bireyi düşündüğümüzde sadece birey olarak düşünemiyoruz bugün. Doğal olarak birey dediğimizde kimle beraber düşünmek zorundayız? Sivil toplum örgütleriyle beraber düşünmek zorundayız. Yani neticede hani 18 ve 19'da kazandığımız en önemli kavram, tabii ne kadar iyi işlediği tartışılabilir. Sivil toplum örgütü. Yani bunlardan da neyi kastediyoruz? Sendikaları kastediyoruz, meslek odalarını kastediyoruz. Yine belli bir amaç etrafında dernekleşen grupları kastediyoruz. Bu çoğu zaman da bir alanın, bir hak grubunun korunması şeklinde tezahür ediyor. İşte şoförler odasını düşünün veya işte bizim Başakşehir'de göreceğiniz gibi Adıyamanlar, işte Besinler Derneği gibi ki bu da aynı zamanda yine ana bir olguya işaret ediyor. Dolayısıyla bu önemli sorunlardan bir tanesi ve hala önümüzdeki 100 yıl boyunca tartışacağımız alanlardan bir tanesi. Yeri gelmişken hemen burada zorluğa geçeyim. Buradaki zorluk ne? Buradaki zorluk açıkçası şu, hani klasik devlette baktığınızda şüphesiz orada da bir küresel sermayeden bahsedebiliyorduk ama bugünün dünyasında en temel zorluk sermayenin hızlı bir şekilde hareket edebilmesidir. Dolayısıyla devletlerin sermaye karşısındaki yaptırım, bu da şundan dolayı önemli, sizin sermaye ile toplum arasındaki paylaşımda devlet hepimizin bildiği gibi vergi üzerinden alıyor. Dolayısıyla siz vergi alabilme miktarı bakımından devletler sınırlı. Yani uçan fabrikalardan bahsediyoruz, uçan sermayeden bahsediyoruz veya internetten hızlı bir şekilde sermayeyi 5-10 dakikada transfer edebiliyoruz. Ve buradaki temel eksikliklerden bir tanesi de şu, hani eşitsizliğin dağılımında, yani toplumsal gruplar adına adaleti sağlaması hususunda uluslararası bir düzen de maalesef kurulabilmiş değil. Yani uluslararası olarak bütün bu paylaşımı yönettiğimiz etkin ve adil bir yönetim sistemi de daha kurmuş değiliz. Ya bunu tespit olarak söylemek gerekir. Pekala, diğer bu süreçte yaşadığımız ana başlıklara atıfta bulunuyoruz. Evet, bilim, teknoloji ve sanayileşme. Bunun sonucu olarak geldiğimiz aşamada uluslararası sermaye, buna ulusal sermaye de diyebilirsiniz ama artık belli bir ölçüye geldikten sonra bütün sermaye grupları uluslararası haline geliyor. Devlet ve birey arasındaki ilişkilere getirilmesi gereken yeni bir düzen, bu aynı zamanda bir sorun alanı. Diğeri 17. yüzyıldan itibaren yaşadığımız hani köylerin boşalması, tarım alanlarının boşalması ve büyük metropollerin oluşması. Bu aynı zamanda metropollerin oluşması bizim yaşadığımız sıkıntılarla da yakından alakalı. Mesela Covid'i yaşadık. Aslında Covid'in yaşamamızın en önemli sebebi çok büyük bir nüfusun çok küçük bir alanda yaşamasından kaynaklanan bir sonuç. Çok açık olarak baktığımızda bununla alakalı. Diğer onunla ilgili baktığımızda olan şey göç. Neden? Yine bu süreçte uluslararası düzenin bir devamı olarak savaşlar bölgesi olarak yaşanıyor. 2 Dünya Savaşı yaşadık 17. yüzyıldan itibaren. 2 Küresel Dünya Savaşı'ndan sonra ise artık savaşlar bölgesel olarak yaşanıyor ve bu bölgesel savaşlar diğer ekonomik farklılıklar ve eşitsizlikle beraber göçleri doğuruyor. Yani muhtemelen bizim sanayi toplumdan yani 17-18. yüzyıldan sonra baktığımızda göç artık neredeyse evrensel bir olgu. Tabi buradaki amaç ne? İnsanlar hem güvenliği arıyorlar, işte bizim yakında yaşadığımız Suriye Savaşı veya 20 yıl önce yaşadığımız Türkiye Kuzey Irak sınırındaki çatışmalarda görüldüğü gibi göçle beraber insanlar güvenli yeri ve aynı zamanda göreli olarak refahı arıyorlar, gelişmişçi arıyorlar ve göç devam ediyor. Pekala göçle beraber de tabii ki yeni sorun alanları ortaya çıkıyor. Şimdi burada bunlara rağmen altını çizmemiz gereken önemli farklılık alanları var. Bir tanesi bilgi teknolojilerine önemli bir atıfta bulunmamız gerekiyor. Bugün dünyasını anlamamız için. Orada hani İbn Haldun'a atıfta bulunalım. Hatırlarsanız İbn Haldun toplumsal değişimi tanımlarken anahtar kavramı şudur. Hani daha sonra Marx bunu kavramsallaştıracak. İnsanların rızıklarını, maişetlerini ele geçirme biçimleri toplumsal yapıları farklılaştırıyor. İbn Haldun'un o dönem adına kullandığı kavram, açıklayıcı kavram olarak da asabiyeyi kullanıyordu. Hani toplumları var eden ama neydi? Bedevi topluluk, göçebe topluluklardı. Sonra tarım toplumu. Şimdi bugün üçüncüsünü biz yaşadık. Sanayi toplumu, aynı İbn Haldun'un akıl yürütmesi üzerinden giderken oradaki yeni olan şey şu. Bizim üretim biçimimiz makineyle etkileşimle beraber ortaya çıktı ve benim söylediğim bütün bu somut gerçeklikleri biz yaşadık. Hani nedir işte şehirlerin büyümesi, çünkü fabrikalar şehirlere doğru geldi. Dolayısıyla eğitim radikal bir şekilde, köklü bir şekilde değişti. Çünkü o öğretime uygun olarak sizin eğitimi yeniden tasarlamanız gerekti. Tabii ki orada ideolojik öneriler de vardı ve eğitimin önemli içeriklerinden bir tanesi fizik ve matematiğe dayalı olarak eğitim oldu ki bugün bizim hala gördüğümüz orta öğretim ve lise öğretimi buna dayanmaktadır. Bu becerileri kazandırmaya çalışır. Şimdi bugün geldiğimiz yeni bir şey şu, yine İbn Haldun'a yakın bir kavramla söyleyeyim. Yapay zekaya dayalı üretim biçimi. Yani tabii ki diğer katmanlar, burada makine var ama yeni olan şu, yapay zekaya dayalı olarak bir üretim biçimini yaşıyoruz. Yani bunun çarpıcı örneklerini ve kavramlarını verebilirim. İnsansız fabrikalar, yerin altındaki fabrikalar, onlarca ve dolayısıyla insanın tırnak içerisinde geçen yüzyıldaki üretim biçiminden çekildiği, dolayısıyla bunun yine sosyolojinin kullandığı kavramları söyleyecek olursak mavi yakalıların yok olduğunu görüyoruz. İşçi sınıfı buharlaşıyor. Yok değil mi? Normal bir yüzyıl önceki rakamlara bakın. Yok. Bugün onun yerine kısmen beyaz yakalılar ve yeni sorun alanları çıkıyor ve bu aynı zamanda üretim biçimini değiştirdiği gibi bununla ilişkili alanları da değiştiriyor. Yani çok doğal olarak eğitim ki biz bir üniversite rektörü olarak en çok uğraştığım alan orası. Eğitimden talepleri var ve bunun değişmesi gerekiyor. Ve biz de buna dair en temel yargımızı işte öğrenci arkadaşlarla çok konuştuğumuz gibi beceri ve yetkinlik temelli olarak yapmaya çalışıyoruz ve dijital becerileri de buraya ciddi bir şekilde eklemlemeye çalışıyoruz. Şimdi burada yine ana bir başlık olarak değişen ki bu nispeten sanayileşmeden bize devralan kalan şey, hatırlarsanız sanayileşmedeki iki şey çok önemliydi. Hem pazara ulaşacaksınız hem de doğal kaynaklara ulaşacaksınız. Bunun arasındaki döngüden ciddi bir şekilde güç doğuyor ve bu güçle uluslararası hegemonu pekiştiren bir mekanizması var. Şimdi burada ise bütün küre olarak yaşadığımız önemli sorunlardan bir tanesi doğaya olan yıkım diyelim. Doğanın hoyrat bir şekilde kullanımı. Doğadan neyi kastediyoruz? Aslında doğada olan tüm unsurlar bundan etkilendi. Bir kere toprağın kendisi etkilendi. Etkileniyor. Dolayısıyla tarım alanlarımız işte çölleşme olarak bunu görüyoruz. Suyun azalması olarak görüyoruz. Veya düzensiz iklim hareketleri olarak görüyoruz. Bütün bunları işte buna kuraklık olarak görüyoruz. İki, çok somut olarak bitki ve hayvan türlerinin yok oluşunu da görüyoruz. Yani insanın bilim teknoloji liderliğinde sanayileşme sürecinde yaşadığı olumsuz etkilerden bir tanesi bizim dışımızdaki canlılara üretmiş olduğumuz maliyet. Bunları da net bir şekilde gözlemliyoruz. Tabii ki burada bunun bir kısmı ideolojik üretimlerle mümkün oldu ve aynı zamanda ideolojik üretimler bir tür ötekileştirme kalıplarını da kendi içerisinde barındırıyordu. İşte ileri, gerici, beyaz, siyah, gelişmiş, gelişmemiş veya gelişmekte olan bütün bunlar aslında bir tür ötekileme kalıplarıydı. Şimdi geleceğe atıfta bulunup hani bizim çalışmamız gereken alanlara atıfta bulunup ben konuşmamı bitireyim. Şimdi bir kere gelecek kaotik. Bence öngöremiyoruz. Hani nelerin değiştireceğini biliyoruz ama kaotik. Dolayısıyla da burada sosyal bilimciler olarak bizlere çok büyük görevler düşüyor. Yani olanı biteni anlamak ve olanın biten üzerinden daha iyi ve daha adil bir dünyanın nasıl mümkün olabileceğine dair çözümler üretebilmek hiç şüphesiz biz sosyal bilimcilerin görevi. Tabii sosyolojiye burada hocalarımızla da konuşumda ısrarla söylediğim şey şu. Yani sosyolojinin saha ile ilişkisinin çok güçlü olması gerekiyor. Çünkü hani orada bir değişim oluyor ve bizim retorik ve anlatılarımızla izah edilebilecek bir şey değil bu. Benim genel kanaatim felsefeci olmama rağmen kavramlar sonradan gelir. Yaşanan gerçekliktir. Dolayısıyla sosyal bilimci öncelikle gerçekliği anlamak durumundadır. Ve ondan sonra da normatif olarak iyi ve adil bir dünyanın nasıl olabileceğine dair çözüm önerilerini getirmektir. Dolayısıyla Haldun Üniversitesi'nin de sosyoloji bölümünün ve psikoloji bölümünün burada çok daha anlamlı farklar yaratacağını ümit ediyorum, bekliyorum, hedef olarak özlüyorum. Şimdi burada kısaca özetleyeyim. Evet, birincisi yapay zekaya dayalı üretim biçimleri. Bunu çok iyi gözlemlememiz gerekiyor. Buna dair kavramsallaştırmalar da yavaş yavaş ortaya çıkmaya başladı. Bundan bahsettim. İkincisi iletişim teknolojileri. Bu yapay zekadan farklı olarak işliyor. Mesela kavramları söyleyeyim. Mesela çok temel bir şey var. Kuşaklar arası farklılaşma çok daha hızlı hale geldi. Şimdi sosyolojide siz şimdi çok net görüyorsunuz. Bu neye yol açıyor? Bir, aile içi çatışmaları eski kuşaklardan farklı olarak önümüze gelmeye başlıyor. Şirketlerde mesela olumsuz yönlerinden söyleyeyim. Mesela şirketlerde iki temel kavram var. Yakından şirketlerle çalışanlar. Gençlere da yönelik ve yaşlılara yönelik ayrımcılık. Bu neden oluyor? Çünkü farklılaşma çok hızlı olduğu için tırnak içerisinde gücü elinde bulunan şirketteki grup farklılaşan iki gruba karşı tırnak içerisinde anormal gibi davranıyor. Dolayısıyla kendine benzeri istiyor. Yani burada da adil bir tırnak içerisinde dönüşümü ve düzeni kurmak durumundayız. Bunları örnek olarak söylüyorum. Yine farklı olarak mutluluk ve zevkin tatminiyle ilgili olarak sanal ağların kurulduğunu görüyoruz. Sanal ağlar ve sanal gruplar var. Sanal bir toplum var artık ve sanal toplum içerisinde insanın belli temel ihtiyaçlarını neredeyse karşıladığını gözlemliyoruz. Ve hiç şüphesiz sanal bir dünya artık ekonominin, yani tırnak içerisinde üretimin de olduğu bir dünya. Baktığınızda şirketlerinden veya işte network üzerindeki iş türlerine baktığınızda orada da işte freelancer kavramı doğrudan bununla ilgili bir şey. Orada bunları rahatlıkla yapılabildiğimiz emin. Kimliğin oluşumu ile ilgili, hani Z kuşağı denilen kuşakla ilgili farklılığın oluşmasındaki en önemli kök sebeplerden bir tanesi bu iletişim teknolojileridir. Mesela onunla ilgili hani ben de sahaya çıktığımda gözlemlediğim çoklu kimlikler, çoğul kimlikler, melez tavırlar, daha esnek ve daha yeni ilişki biçimlerini çok rahat bir şekilde gözlemleyebiliyoruz. Yani bu benim ve benden sonraki gelen kuşaklardan çok farklı özellikler. Ve en son olarak da göç ve göçün etrafındaki sorunlar. Yani dünyanın bu kaotik ortamı, göç ve göçün etrafındaki sorunları bizim çok daha fazla konuşmamızı gerektiriyor. Ve buradaki uyum, göçmenlerin eğitim imkanlarına ulaşışı, dışlanmalara ve etiketlenmelere karşı onların nasıl göç ettikleri ülkede var olabilecekleri ve ekonomik hayatta nasıl rekabet alanlarına dahil olabilecekleri göçün etrafındaki temel konular. Evet, İbn Haldun Üniversitesi olarak biz bir sosyal bilimler üniversitesiyiz ve araştırma üniversitesiyiz. Doğrusu burada misyonumuzu tekrar edip konuşmamı bitirmek istiyorum. Biz İbn Haldun Üniversitesi olarak birinci misyonumuz tarihsel birikimimizi, bu hem insanlığın hem daha ulusalda kendi tarihsel birikimimizi iyi anlamak, iyi anlamlandırmak, iyi yorumlamak. İkincisi günümüzü iyi anlayıp günümüzdeki sorunları iyi farkına varıp derinliğine kavrayıp bunlara çözüm üretmek ve üçüncüsü geleceği öngörmek, geleceği tahayyül edebilmek ve geleceğe bireyler, toplum ve ülke olarak hazırlık yapabilmektir. Entelektüeller olarak doğrusu sosyal bilimcilerin en temel görevinin bu olduğunu düşünüyorum. Daha iyi bir dünyanın bizlerin çabalarıyla, katkılarıyla mümkün olduğuna inanıyorum. Tekrar hoş geldiniz diyorum. Tebrik ve temellerimi sizlere iletmek istiyorum. Sağ olun, var olun.
Sayın Rektörümüze bu güzel konuşması için teşekkür ediyoruz. I invite the Dean of Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Professor Alev Erkilet to the stage for making opening remarks. Açılış notlarını sunmak üzere İnsan ve Toplum Bilimleri Fakültesi Dekanımız, değerli hocamız Profesör Doktor Alev Erkilet'i sahneye davet ediyorum.
Hi everyone, welcome. We are very happy to hosting you here once again. Last year in 2021-2022, the spring semester, Elhamdülillah, we hosted the first Sociology Days activity with the theme Basic Social Transformations in the Contemporary World. This was our starting point and basic theme last year. And Elhamdülillah, yani the contributions, the applications and the presentations were really very inspiring for us. Last year we hold 12 sessions and nearly 60 presentations were made by undergraduate students and graduate students from different universities. And Salman Said was our opening keynote speaker, and he was talking about how we can construct a new world which can be defined as post-Western. I want to make a reference to Atilla Hocam's speech and conversation. Last year and this year, our basic aim is to put forward some alternatives for the world. Not only for the Muslim world, but for all the humanity. Which kind of new world order can be constructed or offered or put forward or realized in order to decrease inequalities and solve the problems of humanity. is one of our basic aims, issues. We are handling these topics in our classes also. So in this year's student research symposium, our topic will be crisis and transformations, inequality, state, politics, and society in the current world order. Why we choose this topic, arkadaşlar? Because inequality is, according to me, the biggest problem in the world now. Sexism is increasing, racism is increasing, anti-migrant attitudes and interventions are increasing, ageism is increasing, childism is increasing, and maalesef several other exclusionary interventions to human societies are apparently in front of our eyes, and we have, as sociologists, as Atilla Hocam said, as sociologists, we have to say something in relation with these problematic behaviors and activities. We hope this year our students from high schools, from undergraduate level and graduate level will make presentations about these very, very important topics. And we are very glad to host them. And I want to thank again and again to them for joining us in this intellectual adventure. So I want to thank you. Welcome again. Assalamu alaikum.
We thank Professor Erkilet for her kind speech. Kıymetli hocamıza bu güzel konuşması için teşekkür ediyoruz. I invite Head of the Sociology Department, Professor Ramazan Aras to the stage to give his speech. Sosyoloji Bölümü Başkanımız Profesör Doktor Ramazan Aras'ı da konuşmalarını yapmak üzere sahneye davet ediyorum. Buyurun hocam.
Okay, as usual, I start the timer. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. It's great honor and pleasure to have you all here. Dear our president, dear our dean, and dear colleagues, students, and guests. As the chair of Sociology Department, I am very glad and very honored to have you and host you here. First of all, I want to express my gratitude for hosting, for being with us and hosting Professor François Burgat. He's joining to us from the French National Center for Scientific Research. I am very glad that you make it and you are with us, François. Thank you again. And also, I am very thankful for the presence of Assistant Professor Ayşe Polat from the Istanbul Medeniyet University. She is going to be also our speaker for the closing session, closing remarks, inshallah, on Sunday. And of course, today we are having our second Sociology Days, which we hosted the first one last year. And of course, this year we are focusing on, as Alev Hoca, our dean, also mentioned, we are focusing on the crisis and the transitions. As she mentioned also, we are going through a new world order in which we are facing and trying to cope with diverse phases of different crises and different transitions at the local, at the regional, and at the global level. And of course, in this process of crisis and transitions, we are also witnessing diverse forms of inequalities, different new forms of the state and state governorship. We are also witnessing different forms of the politics, and in the same way, different ways in which the society and the individual is located in different frameworks. So the world is changing. We have been always in different forms of transitions and transformations. But of course, in today's world, we are witnessing a deepening level of this crisis and transitions, and that is why it is very critical for us as sociologists, as anthropologists, as philosophers, as political scientists, in general, as social sciences, to get closer to this ongoing traumatic, catastrophic developments in the world scene and try to engage with them at the local, at the regional, and at the global level, because what we are having at the local level is completely tied to the regional developments and of course global developments as well. We are organizing the Sociology Days with an objective to create a sphere of dialogue within not only undergraduate and graduate students, but also anyone who is interested, coming from different disciplines, from different sides, to create a dialogue between the people and to have a strong voice to express our not only feelings but our research and our thoughts on ongoing crises and inequalities and disasters in the local scene, at the regional scene, and at the global scene. Of course, that is why we are very enthusiastic and we are very passionate to continue and to make it more powerful, this tradition, in the following years, inshallah. I want to, of course, organizing such event is not an easy task, and it has been a very huge labor that many people have been attached to it. So I want to, first of all, thank to our team, and first of all, of course, I want to thank Ibrahim Emre Yanık and Safanur Altuncu for their great support. And of course, as Hanne mentioned earlier, this is an organization that is organized by the Sociology Department and also the Societal Research and Thought Club. So it's the labor of two institutions at Ibn Haldun University campus. And of course, in the process, we have academic boards, we have the board of organization. I want to mention the leading figures, and of course, we have a lot of heroes in the backstage who are working and to make this 3 days event something enjoyable, something grateful, inshallah, for all of us. So first of all, I want to also thank the academic board members, namely Rümeysa Ertuğrul, İlham Ibrahim, Zulkarneyn Muhammed, Aisha Seyit, and again Ibrahim Emre Yanık. And of course, I want to thank the organizing committee, particularly the heads of the organization, Ebu Bekir Soylu, Besra Betül Topkaya, Şena Kader, Feyza Horoz, Meryem Betül Kasapoğlu, İrem Üstün, Gamze Kapar, and Nuseybe Karagöz. Thank you very much for your great effort and for your all enthusiasm and labor that you are making this event to be grateful for all of us and possible. And of course, I want to thank also the staff and the members of the Department of Corporate Communication and Publicity at Ibn Haldun University, and Fatih Razi, as last year he has done. He has been doing a lot of labor and huge effort to make it possible, and he's with his team in the backstage. He's providing us a lot of support. Thank you, Fatih, again. And of course, lastly, I want to thank all of you, the people present here, and also people who are going to join us today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Thank you very much for your participation, for your academic research. Thanks again.
We thank Professor Aras for his kind speech. Kıymetli hocamıza da bu güzel konuşması için teşekkür ediyoruz. Now I invite the president of the Societal Research and Thought Club, Ebu Bekir Soylu, to the stage. Toplumsal Araştırma ve Düşünce Kulübü Başkanı Ebu Bekir Soylu'yu konuşmasını yapmak üzere sahneye davet ediyorum.
Selamünaleyküm. Öncelikle hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Başta değerli rektörüm ve misafirimiz olmak üzere hepinize teşekkür ediyorum. Sözü çok uzatmayacağım. Burada hocalarım varken ilmi veya detaylı bir konuşma yapmak benim haddime düşmez. Sadece birkaç küçük noktaya değinip program hakkında birkaç detay verip kürsüden ayrılacağım inşallah. Şöyle, öncelikle geçen yıl olduğu gibi bu yılda 3 gün boyu bizlerle birlikte olacak inşallah hocalarımız. Bunun için çok teşekkür ediyorum. Türkiye'de herhangi bir üniversitede bölümün bütün hocalarının, profesörlüğünden dekanına, bütün hocalarımızın 3 gün boyu bir öğrenci grubunun yanında olarak etkinlikte onlarla birlikte olduğunu duymadım şu güne kadar. Görmedik de o kadar aktif olmamıza rağmen. Onun dışında başlığımızda kriz ve dönüşüm diyoruz. Bu 2 yıllık daha yeni kurulmuş ve 2. yılında olan bir kulüp olarak tecrübe ettiğimiz şu, hocalarımızla, arkadaşlarımızla yürüdüğümüz süreçte hep büyük şeyler yapmaya çalıştık. Bu süreçte de yaşadığımız, içinde bulunduğumuz krizler bizi bir tık daha üstüne, bir tık daha ileriye götürdü. Geçen yıl mesela sosyoloji günlerini organize ederken bir kaosun içindeydik. Kendi içimizden söylersek. Çünkü farklı şeyler deniyorduk. Bir tık ilerisine götürmeye çalışıyorduk. İşte kurumsalla akademiyi birleştirmeye çalışıyorsunuz. Yeni bir şey çıkıyor ama bu yıl daha rahattı. İnşallah seneye daha güzel ve daha farklı olacak. Onun dışında bu dönem programda belirtmememize rağmen inşallah bir manikeler olmazsa bu akşam Osmanlı dönemi Türk musikisinden bir dinletimiz olacak. Akşam bu programımızı hepinizi bekliyoruz. Onun dışında küçük sürprizler program boyunca olacak. Sadece akademik bir sempozyum olarak düşünmeyin. Bunun yanında işte whiteboardlardır. Bunun dışında değerli interaktif çalışmalar da olacağını belirtmek isterim. Kısaca İngilizce'de tekrar edersek altyazı olmadığını düşünerek güzel olacaktır. Initially, I would like to thank you to our president of the university and our esteemed guest, Professor François. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. And I would like to mention that we are grateful to our professors because they were with us for all three days, the previous year symposium, and they are going to be with us this year as well. And what I said in Turkish was, during the whole this, let's say, discovery, this journey, we improved ourselves by experiencing some crisis or chaos, you can say. But at the end of all these problems and the troubles, whatever you say, we are here and we are taking more steps for the future. And inshallah, we will have better and more powerful events together. And I would like to thank you all once again. Have a nice evening.
We thank Ebu Bekir Soylu for this beautiful speech. Kendisine bu güzel konuşması için teşekkür ediyoruz. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Teslim Khriji from the Sociology Department to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor François Burgat. Şimdi Sosyoloji bölümünden Dr. Teslim Khriji'yi Profesör François Burgat'ı takdim etmek üzere sahneye davet ediyorum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Nice to be here again, reunited for this is becoming a beautiful tradition, and we're always happy to hear our students' thoughts on the world and how our, classes are benefiting them. So here again, we're starting these new second sociology days. So with us, we have our esteemed keynote speaker, François Burgat. So welcome, François. Bienvenue à Ibn Haldun University. So François Burgat is as you can imagine, a French political scientist. So he's French, but does not mean that he does not speak other languages. He does speak English. He's a perfect Arabist, mind you. So he knows Arabic very, very well. And so for our students, he's someone who is very close to his topic. He knows very well the region. He traveled, he lived there, he taught there. So I'm very happy to be welcoming François with you today. So François, as you can imagine, has accumulated a very long experience of research and teaching on the Arab world, on Islam, on the Muslim world, and he has done this through many, research works and research field work. So he's Emeritus Research Director at the French National Center for Scientific Research, CNRS, at IREMAM, which is like the diminutive of Institut de Recherche et d'Études sur le Monde Arabe et Musulman, which is like Institute on the Arab world and Muslim world. It's based in Aix-en-Provence in France. He has been the principal investigator of the European Research Council research program when authoritarianism fails actually in the Arab world, WAFAO. This is actually the first time I met François in Tunis. This is a project on which we collaborated together and worked on the role of diasporas actually in the transformations that were taking place in the Arab world under the Arab Spring. so this project took place from 2013 to 2017. He has taught and researched at the University of Confronting, when we're talking about, experience in, on the spot in the Arab world. So he has taught in the University of Confronting. This is in Algeria, from 1973 to 1980. I'm sorry. And at the State Dej in Cairo from 1989 to 1993 as the director of the French Center for Archaeology and Social Sciences in Sana'a, Yemen, from 1997 to 2003, a very long time. Then, as a director of the Institut Français du Proche-Orient, covering Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, and Iraq, based in Damascus from 2008 to 2012, and then Beirut from 2012 to 2013. He's also a member of the European Council on Foreign Relations. So Professor Burgat, produced, based on this experience, an extensive list of articles and books. He's, an outspoken on issues regarding Muslims, Islam, Islamism, whether in the Arab and Muslim world, Muslims live in the Muslim world or in the West. Examples of his books, just to name a few that has been translated. Not all of your books have been translated. So the Islamic movement in North Africa, 1997, has been translated in that year, I think. Face to Face with Political Islam, 2002. Islamism in the Shadow of Al-Qaeda, 2005. Also, Understanding Political Islam, just to name a few, that was published in 2019. Let me go back to my, So most importantly, what I want our students also to notice about François' work is that he's not commenting on things. He's very much in touch with the changing reality in a very sensitive area in our world. And since we're dealing with, change, we're dealing with crises, transitions, this is a period that, is central in all of these transitions and changes in our current world, in current world order. So he's very much in touch with the changing reality of the Muslim world, fully measuring its sociological and geopolitical scope within the framework of his research field, whether in the Maghreb region or in the Arabian Peninsula, which he invested in particular during his long stay in Yemen between 1998 and 2003, or in Cairo or Lebanon, etc. So throughout his writings, he shows a constant and ever resolute desire to not give into, Eurocentrist approaches or Orientalist approaches or stereotypical approaches to this complex reality. So he denounces any kind of reductionism regarding these issues, regarding his object of analysis. And he rather shows often the epistemic limits of such widespread stereotyping and adopts, on the contrary, a methodology that seeks to build objective knowledge of the issues of Islam, Muslims, and Islamism today, issues such as, for example, Islamophobia. So his writings never cease, this is how I see them, and you will excuse me, they never cease to rationalize, to scrutinize from several analytical angles by means of the profane tools of comprehensive sociology, in the same tradition as the founding fathers of sociology, such as Max Weber and others. So to do this, the political scientist proceeds to a deconstruction, as a rule, of the main dynamics at work of his object of analysis in the light of the context in which it was developed and the major political events in which actions are taking place. So, of course, I will not take more time. This is only to entice you to read, François' articles, books, and they're very much accessible. And They can give you a lot of tools, but also can inspire you methodologically. He's regularly consulted by many think tanks, such as, World Economic. You were consulted by World Economic Forum, NATO, the European Union, but also he's on the advisory board of many global institutions. He's also, I think, a member of the advisory board of TRT. So we were very happy last year when Professor Burgat has accepted to join the advisory board of our young sociology department. And we are glad that he has accepted this year to be the keynote speaker of the second edition of the Sociology Days. François, bienvenue encore une fois à l'Université Ibn Haldun. Welcome to our second Student Research Symposium, and please join me in welcoming him.
Merci, cher Tasnim. I have a lot of thanks to address to many of you in this room for allowing me to be here today. From Rector Attila Arkan to Professors Alev El-Kiret and Ramadan Aras and Tasnim, of course, but also the students and Abu Bakr Soilu, who represents them. Since I mentioned the name of Tasnim, allow me, Bain Qawsayn, we say in Arabic, to send warm thoughts to someone who is totally unjustifiably in jail in Tunis, and whom I know and whom I appreciate a lot. And if you read some of my books where I explain who are those who have made me, if I may say, intellectually, you will see that I spent one night in 1985. Sorry, many of my references, you were not born, but in 1985, I spent one night in the suburbs of Tunis. And when I came out of the house of Sheikh Rashid, I was a different person. So, it's from my brain, but also from my heart that I refer to Sheikh Rashid today. Many reasons I have to be happy to be here. I will jump to the main one. The main one is that I'm familiar with the sound of my voice, and I learn nothing when I hear it again and again. But hopefully I will hear the sound of your voices, your questions, and hopefully your critique. And this is my award, the real award. I'm glad to be in Istanbul. Usually my introductory joke is to say that I knew Istanbul long before any of you people in this room. Since I visited Istanbul, I discovered Istanbul in 1966, when my hair was much longer than any of yours, including ladies, not Ramadan, but including ladies, I feel at home in this present issue, since you have mentioned inequality, exclusion, mistreatment of minorities, racism. And this is at the heart of the issue I'm going to address when I'm going to address the situation, the evolution, the dynamic which goes rapidly toward the worst when it comes to the situation of Muslims in Europe in general and in France in particular. We in France, we do things better than many others. In this field, we tend to be the best. Sometime when we deal with the Islam and the West relations, I say, if you want to go through the hard core of this relation, historically speaking, you must address the relation between France and Algeria, because this was the worst, the most violent, the longest, and this is where you take the most examples. When you want to deal with these tensions in Europe toward Muslims, go to the situation in France. It's 10 times worse than it is in the UK, in the US, but also in Spain. In Spain, it's to a certain extent very different. So I'm going to address the reasons why there is this French specificity in the worst. I will suggest three main directions. The first one is not so important, but we have to mention it. And the second one, they belong to history. And the third one, we move into actualité, the most recent contemporary developments. And they are the worst. The first root cause of this very specific tension between France and Islam is banal. It is rivalry between dogmas. I mean, you know, whenever a religion expands in the world, another religion feels menaced by this expansion. So this is the case in France. But this is not the main reason for at least two dimensions of these competitions between dogmas. First of all, France is no longer really a Christian society, a Christianized society. If I was to depict France, I would say it's a de-Christianized society. I like to take an example, a very personal example. In my homeland, which are the Alps, there is a restaurant which is labeled the 16 churches, because when you have food, you can see 16 minarets. How do you say the Christian minaret? What is it? Clocher? Yeah, how do you say in English? The tower of a church. Yeah, le clocher in French. Steeple? See? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you can see 16 churches. And last time I was there, only one church was still alive. And there was one priest going from a church to another. And he was an African priest. So France is de-Christianized more than it is a Christian country. So the root cause of the reaction against Islam is not Christians saying, oh, Muslims are taking over. No. Second reason for which this reason is not the main one, the believers, the Christian believers are not, well, a fringe of them is violent and racist, a fringe. But most Christian believers, they are more open-minded toward Muslims. They share values. They share on many issues, including gender issues. They share values with the believers of other religions. So this main cause, competition between dogmas, I do not consider it is the main one. We move to the second one. The second one is very French. The very French root cause of the tension with Islam, which I do not consider is the main one, but it's the most visible one. It is due to the specificity of the revolutionary history of France. In 1789, the French revolutionaries, when they looked toward the king, they say, this guy, he has a tool in his hand. This tool is the church. They collaborate. So if we want to be really free, if we want to move toward modernity, we must not only behead the king, but we must not get rid totally, but we must restrict the ability of the church to exist in the public sphere. Okay? From now on, from a most legal, modern point of view, if you look religious, you're not supposed to appear in the public sphere. And this will give the legal base to this incredible difference between UK, US, Canada, and France. When a guy with a turban, there is no one in this room. The bird and the turban in the UK says, may I be a civil servant, may I be a policeman, is a Sikh. Sikh? Sikh? The UK will say, yes, no problem. You can have a turban and a bird and be a civil servant of His Majesty Elizabeth II at that time. Okay? When in Canada, when in Australia, when in the UK, when almost anywhere else in the world than France, a lady wearing a hijab says, may I be a civil servant, a teacher, a nurse, blah, blah, blah. Everyone will say yes. The French will say no. And among the incidents, the most recent incidents in France, you have the fact that Decathlon, maybe you know Decathlon, this brand, was willing to send hijabs for running or for swimming, okay? And that was a huge scandal. You are supporting the fundamentalists, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. So this is the French specificity. Religion is not legitimate in the public sphere. This is not the real reason. This is not the real reason. The real reason will come. It's the third one. But it is the appearance, the discourse. I do not say I'm against you because you are a Muslim. I do not say I hate Islam because you are overtaking the hegemony of the Catholic dogma. No. I say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not against Islam. I'm against the fact that you people expressing your religiosity move in the public sphere. I want you to hide inside your house. As soon as you come out of your house, I want to see no reference to your belonging to a religion, okay? So this gives the specificity, but once again, this is not, in my understanding, the root cause. The tension between France and Islam has little, not nothing, little to do with competition between dogmas. It has little to do with the specificity of the attitude of France towards religion due to the law segregating between religion and the state. Okay? It has a lot to do with the third cause I'm going to address. From Napoleon until now, from Napoleon when he decided to describe Egypt, early 19th century, Islam was an issue belonging to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Islam was something alien to the French territory. Islam, Muslims, they were people living far away. There were exceptions, of course. A couple of days I met with a bearded guy in a coffee shop in Aix-en-Provence, and he reminded me that 2 centuries ago, there were a bunch, 3, 4, 5 families of Muslims in Aix-en-Provence, but exceptions. Muslim for most of the time until the 60s. They were foreigners, whatever the nationality. Whenever we would say they are French, you are French, La France, Algerienne, Tunisian, or Comore. No, they were foreigners. They were alien to the home situation. Early 60s, real things start. Due to what? Due to decolonization. Thousands of people who were Français d'Algérie, they become Français. They are French. Although they belong to Algeria, to Tunis, some of them to Morocco. So many Muslims become French. But that's not the only reason. Decolonizing is not the only reason. And the second reason, so few people remember it. I remember it. Why? Because my father, I live in the Alps, as I said, and in the Alps, due to the dams, the water, electricity production, attracted huge firms making steel, for instance. All these companies using a lot of electricity, they were in this area of France, La Savoie, for those who know, okay? My father was working in a huge steel company. In the early 60s, 1963, I was visiting this company, and he showed me 6 old-looking buses, brown, old-looking buses. And he said, do you know, François, each week, these buses, we send them to an area called Le Rif, Rif, in Morocco. You know, this south part of Morocco, north part of Morocco, where this incredible war against the French and the Spanish occurred during the 20s and 30s. We send them to the Rif, and they come full of workers. Without these workers, believe me, François, the company would not be what it is now. Okay? So, during the 60s until mid-70s, in the mid-70s, Giscard d'Estaing will say, finished immigration. But for 15 years, we bring and bring and bring more and more and more Muslims inside France. Okay? Now, let me describe you these Muslims. The first generation, Maskeen, they didn't even know to speak one word of French. All they would know is work hard and die. Okay? The second generation, they would speak, but they could not write. The third generation, they didn't know the codes of communication. So they tried, they started asking for a few rights. Didn't function. Now the French are facing the 4th generation. This 4th generation, they know how to speak. They know how to write. They know how to communicate, even though the system has been unjust. A strong fringe of them has access to university. And they are capable of doing 2 things. Asking for the content of the rights which have been attributed to them due to their nationality. But this is not the worst that they are trying to do. The worst is that they are demanding for the right to participate in writing the history of their relation with their French country. And this is unacceptable by a vast majority of the society. And I give you a side demonstration of this. If these people come from a Muslim culture, as a culture, not even religion, culture background, they will be labeled Islamist. They will be discredited as Islamist. But if they happen to come from a non-Muslim cultural background, south of Sahara, they will be discredited just as well as racialist. They will be discrediting, demanding rights of racial minority. It's being racist. I don't know who knows the name of Rokhaya Diallo. She is an activist, very well known in the States and in France, and she gave a lecture in Marseille 2 weeks ago, and I took from her this very strong statement. She said, you know, in France now, when someone says, I am a defender of secularism, or when he says, I am against racism, beware, beware. Here comes an anti-Muslim discourse. I am for secularism. It means I am against Muslims who assault secularism. And if you hear someone say, I am against racism, it means very often, more and more, I am against those people who, in the name of being a racial minority, are asking for their rights. See? So this is the frame of the historical situation where we are now. Now, a chronology. Hey, I still have a lot of time, huh? I'll try and address you no more than 35 minutes, okay? 35, 40. The chronology of what happened in France. Remember, October 2020. The anti-Muslim discourse existed. He has existed since the 60s. You had le Front National. You had this extreme droite fringe of discourse, very violent against migrants. Remember, migrants have long been Arabs. It took some time before they became Muslims. But for long, racism was on an ethnical base. Then it very slowly, and it is very intriguing to remind the steps. For the first time, you see that in the Renault factory, someone labeled the strike a Shia strike. A Shia strike. For the first time, they were labeling the migrants with their religion. And step by step, people are no longer Arabs, they become Muslims. And it is very important to describe this process. Anyway, slowly, the social base of the anti-Muslim discourse expanded out of the borders of the extreme right. It moved into the good old right. Then it started eating the left. You have in France a group labeled the Republican Spring, which is a current, very well represented in the media, who brings together the people who were from the left and have moved to the extreme right. And the tunnel, the channel, the bridge to move from left to right is the issue of Islam. I'll give you another example. Maybe you know Le Monde Diplomatique. It's a major journal in France, which was very leftist, anti-imperialist, and so. Now I'm going to mention a name who has more or less disappeared for reasons which you know, and I don't want to address this issue, but is the name of Tariq Ramadan. Tariq Ramadan, before the affair existed, was a symbol of how Muslims were addressing merely political, mundane issues, defending the rights of Muslims, okay? And Alain Grèche, the head of Monde Diplomatique, he said to me, you know, François, our journal, for years it has been, you know, like a boat in a storm, boom, boom, boom, boom, boom, boom, going down, uniting against any of the issues. And it has split apart upon the issue of Tariq Ramadan. Not the scandal of Tariq Ramadan, against the ideas, that the fact that a Muslim was expressing ideas linked to the, boom, Le Monde Diplomatique, boom, split into adversaries. So this is what will happen to the left. Now the common denominator of, there is no left and right when it comes to Islam. Islam has become the bridge between the right and between the left and the right. That's the bridge which fuels, not the left, which fuels the extreme right. So we have this tendency until October 2020. In October 2020, we have a zilzal, earthquake, a discourse by President Macron. What is the situation? President Macron has been elected in 20, thank you so much. Yeah, I need at least 2. Now, this is responsible for me to being capable of bothering you even many more minutes. Macron knows that he will not be re-elected with the voices, with the ballots, with the voices of the left or center left, because of the yellow, how do you call that? Yellow shirts? Yeah. He knows that he has lost the support of huge compartment of the left. He knows he has to be re-elected by the right and the extreme right. So he will very cynically make a move, and he will adopt what allows me and others to say that France will move into the era of Islamophobia d'État, state Islamophobia. The government of Macron will endorse, with no limit, the discourse of the extreme right. If I wrap up this dimension of this very dramatic move, I will say that the discourse of the state, the strategy of the state, was to criminalize the actions of a minority of Muslim citizens, those who were, well, remember that France goes through, I sometimes forget this, and it is very important. France goes through these major slaughtering of several hundred people in a theater, slaughtering of the entire editor personnel of Charlie Hebdo, goes through 80 people being killed by a car in the city of Nice. Don't you ever forget this, because it is at the heart of what will allow the state to move toward blind Islamophobia. So we used to criminalize, and this was legitimate to a certain extent, those who were reputedly capable of moving toward blind, violent action. Okay. Since October 2020, we move into another era. From now on, we do not criminalize the actions, but the opinions, not of a minority, but of a majority of Muslims. This is a cold-blood definition of what happens since October 2020. The discourse of the state can criminalize the opinions of a majority of Muslims. You know, I made the buzz some years ago by saying in front of a parliamentary commission inquiring upon Islamic State militancy, I said, you know, the problem in France is that the good Muslim, the so-called Republican good moderate Muslim, is the Muslim who is no longer a Muslim. Any other Muslim, as soon as he raises his voice with any kind of oppositional tone, will be considered separatist, fundamentalist, the one who wants to make a group a side of the Republic. And this is exactly what will happen. The worst red line, which you can Google on Middle East Eye, there's something wrong in my biography. When you say, I am part of I am part of nothing nowadays in France. I am not allowed to express myself in absolutely no public sphere. 95% of the press is in one direction in France. When you pronounce the word of Islam, it is no longer a gate toward debate. It is a gate toward a word I cannot translate in English. You will help me. One-upmanship or something? Surenchère. How do you translate surenchère? When someone says this, the other one says more and more and more and more. How do you say this? Like when you sell a horse, I say 100, the other one says 150. Yeah, but there is a one-upmanship. Yeah. More and more and more and more. So if I say Islam is bad, there will not be someone to say, you to consider that it is not only bad. No, it is even worse. You have only this direction. I'm not, I can give you an example. I am personally targeted by a campaign now in France. 95% of the press is in one direction. No one single major TV or journal will take a more rational understanding, say you should look the other way around. So we have moved in a situation where Jean-François Bayard, a major social scientist, has said it, not me. He said we have moved into the field of Islamophobia, d'État, state Islamophobia. The worst, what they have done, when I said Google in the Middle East, I in English, CCIF, le collectif contre l'islamophobie en France, it's an association which helps Muslims who have been targeted by discrimination to have a judiciary response. I mean, they are not jihadis, you know. They are the most, and they have absolutely no link except antagonism with trends like Muslim Brothers or any religious trend. They have been dissolved by the government. And this sanction has been confirmed by the judiciary. So this is where we are now. This is where, and there have been hundreds of Muslim institutions, mosques, judo clubs, any institution headed by Muslims have been dissolved in France in 3 years. Please go into these figures. And the silence is total. I mean, there is no political response from maybe La France Insoumise, Jean-Luc Mélenchon once said, you know, a little nuance. But the majority of the political class, from the extreme right to the extreme left, is silent toward this dimension. I want to almost conclude with one dimension which must be addressed. You know, I am a lucky person. I was in Azerbaijan 3 weeks ago. Because it was the World Day Against Islamophobia by United Nations. I don't know if you remember. Maybe, I think it's, you should know. There's been one global day against Islamophobia. So many countries were looking for, you know, the French guy will address this issue. So I addressed this issue, but I was a little surprised. I like to target my country. I'm not ashamed of targeting my own country, but I want that all those countries which fuel Islamophobia are at least identified. And in Azerbaijan, well, let me go back to my analysis. The supporters of the anti-Muslim activist discourse are not only French. They have supporters in the Arab world and in Israel. Who are they? First of all, they are those who in 2001, do you remember Ariel Sharon, what he said right after 11th of September? He said something that so many people have forgotten. He said, you have bin Laden, we have, and you might have expected, we have Hamas. No, we have Yasser Arafat. So Yasser Arafat was identified to the worst of the religious extremism. What is the sense of this discourse? They resist, they oppose, not because we occupy them militarily, because they are Muslims. They are too Muslims. They are a little too much religious, so they resist to our occupation. Now, in September 2019, 2 persons came to Paris. The first one, I don't have to introduce him. His name is Abdel Fattah Sisi. Maybe you like to know that he has Wissam Sharaf, the Légion d'honneur of the highest, he received the highest decoration by President. By the way, I'll tell you a little secret which I've never mentioned, but I refused the same Wissam Sharaf. I was attributed 3 years ago. I dismissed, I refused. I belong to 2 out of 1,000 French people who have refused the Wissam Sharaf. But Abdel Fattah Sisi came, and he came, thank you, and he came with someone whose name is Mohammed Isa, former Minister of Justice in Saudi Arabia. 400 beheaded at his counter. 400 capital punishment for Mohammed Isa when he was Minister of Justice. He was the Secretary General of the World Islamic League. Okay, both they came not at the same time, but they used the same terminology. They asked Macron not to struggle against extremism or jihadism or terrorism. No, they both use the same terminology. We want to help you, we ask you to struggle, and we want to help you struggle against political Islam. So the regional base of this Islamophobic discourse is composed of the Israelis, their allies, and their allies. I don't want to name countries, you know, I am a guest here, but some countries very wealthy and not so far, they fund journalists, politicians, to, for instance, blame Qatar, because Qatar is supposedly the bad guy in this discourse. Qatar is the guy who is supposedly supportive of political Islam at a time when his neighbors, several of his neighbors, although things are becoming very complicated now because, you know, Saudi Arabia is shaking hands with Iran. It's very complicated, but you need to know that there is a regional, international community which fuels the European Islamophobia. So when we address this issue, we must put it in a global frame of analysis. I end with a very personal situation. Yesterday night, for the first time in my life, I wrote to a lawyer to get protection. Why? I don't want to make it a personal issue, but there is a situation in France. If you say 1/10 of what I've been saying today, and you accuse whoever of your colleagues who is supporting this, you say, hey, have you read this incredible literature which is fueling this, which is giving scientificity to this kind of racist, sectarian position? Then you are accused of fueling, pinning a target in the back of he or she you accused, your critique. So for having criticized one of my colleagues who has written a very vicious book on le frérisme, you know, it has started, we are against jihadis, then we are against Salafis, then we are against Muslim brothers, then we are against whatever atmosphere is around, and it goes to the extent that you can criminalize CCIF, so mundane Muslims, some of them even far out of their own religion, just willing to help their community, they are criminalized. They are criminalized as soon as they move into the public sphere. As Muslims, they are criminalized. So I am myself targeted, and I had to take a lawyer because 3 days ago, on a major prime time program, a journalist by the name of Patrick Cohen said, the problem in this issue is that he who has pinned, épinglé, a target in the back of this writer is a researcher by the name of François Burgat. So you see this situation where we are now, which is beyond a limit of rationality. But maybe all of what I told you today is too much, exaggerated, it's a mistake, and the near future will be peaceful and lovely. Thank you so much for your attention.
Guys, now we're gonna have a Q&A part. So if you have questions, please ask. And I kindly ask you to stay on stage for a while. Then I think my friends will be giving you microphone. So please ask if you have the questions.
Thank you for this really profound take on Islamophobia and especially the French case. And one has to also salute the moral courage which among intelligentsia is unfortunately lacking and which you show in writing as well as in public debate. So this is a source of inspiration for all of us, for the younger generation. I wanted to make 2 points to this talk that you gave. I'm sort of in agreement with what you have said, but I wanted to make some observation about 2 points. One is the whole idea of French exceptionalism, right? And I think nationalism, by its very definition, is built on exceptionalism. So it is not simply French exceptionalism. There is an American exceptionalism. There is an Indian exceptionalism. Indians are proud of the fact that we are the only unique people who have unity in diversity, right? And, you know, schooled in that thought, every Indian believes that it is unique. Likewise, there is American exceptionalism and so on. So I'm not saying that this is not correct, but then at the same time, if you see it from the perspective of those who are victim of Islamophobia, there is also a commonality. What I mean is that the Dutch, they claim that they have their own brand of national exceptionalism, which, unlike France, it is not about equality, liberty, it is about tolerance. Dutch tolerance is unique. So every nation state has uniqueness, and yet all of them share certain common ideology when it comes to Islamophobia, right? So how do we make sense of this? I mean, every nation state has a claim about exceptionalism, and yet on this point they come together. So that is the first point. The second point, these 1960s, after decolonization, the need for labor, right? You have that case in Germany, in Holland. In Germany, it was the Turks and Moroccans who were invited. They were guest laborers. And the idea was that they will go back. They did not. They stayed. So definitely, that is a core element in the sense that these others who were elsewhere, now they are here. That is also true, much like the case of French exceptionalism or Dutch exceptionalism. But I wonder, I mean, you have that from the so-called French philosophers' time, from Denis Diderot to through Voltaire, you know. And as it is well known, the first modern usage of the term Islamophobia is in French as Islamophobie. And this is already in 1918, when, and you have to forgive me for my excellent French pronunciation, Etienne Dine, who was a French guy who converted to Islam.
He uses the word.
Yeah. And he wrote a book which was with Sulaiman bin
Sirat al-Nabi. In the introduction of
in
Islam,
Ibrahim,
the Prophet,
right?
he speaks about Islamophobia. Yeah.
And this is very revealing because the book is titled Life of Muhammad, the Prophet of Allah, where this term is used. But there you already see how he is, of course, from elsewhere, but he is also here. So my point is, of course, the 1960s thing is there, you know, those who were supposed to be temporary, now they have become permanent, right? And how to make sense of it. But then there is this larger thing in which this episode of 1960s is mobilized, or the language is provided before 1960s. So the point is, if we focus, or if we give more prominence to the 1960s, and do not adequately account for what has happened before, right? Or sort of, I don't think that you are saying that, the past is irrelevant, of course not. But how to sort of creatively and academically combine these elements in a more balanced way, so that our analysis is more comprehensive and more thorough. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You remind me to what I said. It's not the sound of my voice which allows me to learn, it's yours. I said I'm going to address the exceptionality of the French. I should have said I will address one of the specific situations, which happens to be the French one, but every single country has its specificity when it comes to the relation of Muslim. If I was, because I asked this question so many times, if I was to describe the specificity of the US, it's both sides. One side is "In God we trust." It's written on the dollar. We have no problem mobilizing religion in the public sphere. But everyone told me, but the Arab-Israeli issue has totally invaded this space, even more than in France. So it would be one specificity. But it is funny to say that every country looks and every individual looks at himself as being unique, of course. But I remember of the specificity of the Denmark. I was in a meeting in the Denmark, and the guy doing my job, well, no, it was the post-dinner speech, but more or less. So he said, our country, it is a very small country. We are very small, and we are very modest. We tend to be very, very modest. We are very, very modest. We are the most modest in the world. So this is exactly this type of, being invaded by a homemade representation of yourself. So I fully agree with the fact that France is not unique in wherever it is migrant workers, or the fact that there was a background of antagonism before the 60s. But Ronan, all this intellectual background of relations of antagonism with Islam did not make Islam a domestic issue. It was not an issue. It was for a few intellectuals. What I mean is that in the 60s, it becomes a domestic politic issue, which it was not before. I don't know if you see what I need. Edouard Dinet is very strange because his life was republished a few weeks ago by a publisher in France. And the publisher sent me the book and he said, François, I invite you to note that he has been using the word Islamophobia, because there is a legend in the French media that Islamophobia, the most Islamophobic writers say that Islamophobia was a word invented by Shia Iran to criminalize any restriction toward their revolution. And of course, it is stupid. The word existed long before, and among other situations, Dinet. I think that I fully agree with the matrix of your remarks, and I thank you for them.
Okay, I'm Aisha Sayed. I'm a doctoral student at the Sociology department, so I have a question and comment. So firstly, I'd like to thank you for this wonderful speech that you've delivered. And it's a pleasure to hear an academic who's also an activist. It's a different kind of pleasure, so thank you very much. So the way you have, delivered this, depicted this antagonism between Islam and the West, or let's say Islam and the rest, and you have mentioned how much of it is political. So what component of it would you say is economic as well? I would like to hear your thoughts on it. And some thoughts that have been triggered by your talk. It's brought to my mind the Cheryl Bernard report, the RAND report that came after 2001.
Can you please speak a little louder?
Okay. The Cheryl Bernard report, the RAND report that came out after 2001, your thoughts have sort of brought that back to my mind, and how a series of false flag operations have been conducted after that. And then this Tariq Ramadan issue, anybody who has read Radical Reform can understand the sort of impact that his words were having, not only in France, but also in the rest of the Muslim world, and how political Islam was like gaining momentum. So in the context of this this power that you're talking about, so would you say that nation states have entered into a new phase of not only having their, or not only maintaining their monopoly over means of violence, but also being the sole proponents of this violence, not only in France, but would also this be applicable to other nation states in different like sort of forms?
Who would have extended his monopoly? Who is the...
The nation states. They have entered into a phase of like this monopoly over means of violence has always been there, but now they are becoming the sole proponents of it, or they are trying to gain that monopoly as well. Like any opposition is being curtailed, no matter what sort of opposition it is, long before it is even becoming an opposition. And also how much of what you have said is political, what component of that is economic also, the antagonism between Islam and the rest.
We need another lecture. If we want to address the issue of economy, we need some time. First of all, I have always been countering the idea that Islamic opposition would be only the opposition of the poor. I think it's a cheap way of addressing the issue, and I take sometimes a very French, counter example to say that when in a mobilization there is an issue of identity, the economic base of the mobilization cannot be prioritized. And I take the example, when General de Gaulle wants to raise against the Nazis, how would you appreciate someone telling him the resistance to the Nazis, it's only the poor, it's only those who work in the railways, it's only those who have lost their job. General de Gaulle would say, no, I have not lost my job, I am not poor, I am a Christian, there are people without any religion. When there is a matter of identity in a political mobilization, the economic variable plays its role, but it is not the major one. It is not the head one. It is part of the landscape. It is part of the landscape. Now, I'm afraid I did not fully get your question on the nation state. You say that the nation state has an overwhelming ability to counter any kind of opposition. Is that what you said? No. Once again, there is no strict specificity of France. What happens to France, more or less with other, and it has been underlined by Professor Neighbor here, there is a common ground. There are specificities, but the common ground is the Western world is refusing that the generations of the societies upon which it has been in a situation of colonial domination raise their voice. And the fact that they raise their voice not only in their country, but inside the societies of the West makes it worse. So this is really the hardcore of what I've been trying to assess today. Thank you so much. Tasneem.
So actually, just to take the conversation where it just stopped, in terms of identity, in this case, it's actually more about the identity of modern societies and modern liberal societies that the issue is. So it's actually more about crises in the French society than about Muslims themselves. It's actually probably what I would like to highlight is also your main thesis in modernizing Islam. It's when Islam is actually becoming part of society, part of European societies. And when Muslim communities are demographically transforming, culturally, at the educational level, also in terms of requests, that is actually becomes deeply disturbing. So this is why you're placing the change at this level in the 60s. Although the problem has existed before, Islamophobia has existed much before, but it's actually under the forms we know today that this problem is present in itself. However, for me, deeply, and I think for most of us, because we each have different experiences with Islamophobia, different levels, either, individually or as communities, or also, we have this, need to understand. So what is the civilizational dynamic within Western societies today that produces this need to externalize Muslims and make them the other, although they're not. They're very much part of the us. Why do they have to become the them? What is this dynamic? Because also this dynamic is deeply disturbing. This dynamic is not only verbal. This dynamic has produced fascism, has produced, extreme violence towards the other. I'm kind of tempted to say that the Muslim of the 21st century is the Jew of the 20th century. This is what we become. So, getting beyond both of these, both images, the Muslim and the Jew, what is this dynamic in Western culture? This is the deep question that I always repeat. What is this dynamic that keeps, this force centrifuge? Centrifuge or centripete? I always mix both. This exclusion force that needs to, put at the margins.
Centripete.
Centripete, yeah, okay. So what is it exactly and why is it there and what is the way to deal with it? Because it is kind of a civilizational mechanism more than a French exceptionalism. Of course, France takes this to an extreme level, but also is it because France is having more civilizational crises or social and economic crises? The economic factor, hello. So the economic factor here, you are kind of making it secondary. But this is a second point, of course. You are making it a secondary element in terms of, the Muslim question. It's not because they are Muslim that they oppose and that they make requests and they resist. Probably the economic question is important regarding the Western societies, regarding, let's say, the French society. All the economic and social issues that are not dealt with, all the also refusing to deal with them and to find solutions for them accumulates internal violence to a certain point that needs une échappatoire. That needs that we direct somehow this internal violence, again, towards a scapegoat. So scapegoating is not separated from these economic. So the economic issues is not far from this realm, from this scene. And this is why probably it is mentioned. It's less about Muslims than it is. And I always say Islamophobia, just like any phobia, is more about those who have this phobia more than the object of phobia. So this is my take on this. So can you tell us more on the economic issue? So does this have to do more with the present situation in Western capitalist societies? What is it exactly?
I cannot tell you more, in fact, because I realize my time is over. No, maybe I wrap up what I intended to say, and I think it's close to what you said. As long as ladies wearing a hijab were doing the cleaning in France, absolutely no problem. It's by the time one of them became an attorney or a judge or a doctor that problems started. So I think that it has an economic dimension, but it has a symbolic dimension. It is related to the process of domination. I think that what happens to France now, we have lived in the comfort of hegemony. Our problem is how do we move out of our period of hegemony? How do we go back accepting that we are only one tribe and there are others and that they are legitimate and that we do not have the monopoly of producing universality? The hard core is this. Is another culture allowed to express universality? Until now. And when it comes to the real so-called French specificity, so many times I ask myself, why is it that the French, they are so arrogant? Even toward the Anglo-Saxons. I think that it all came from this short period of time when we were les Lumières, where we had a real world-level centrality, and we have not moved away. We think we are le pays des droits de l'homme. Yeah, I mean, we have done everything opposed to this notion, but we think. So if I am to wrap up once again, maybe simplifying, I think the main issue is an issue of moving toward the era which comes after the colonial hegemony. And this is all linked to this period of time which we are moving away from. If you go into the imagination of the most racist activists, they are still in this frame of understanding. I don't know if I have addressed the issue. I've tried. I thank you so much. I think...
We thank Professor François for his opening keynote, and we have a little cadeau gift for you. So I kindly invite Aleverke to the stage for present you our gift. Thank you so much again.